Robert O'Brien with more on all this, including a statement about Tulsi Gabbard, which we'll get to a little later. But first of all, money, I know money is secondary to lives lost and upturned by wars, but it is important, particularly since Israel might be running out of money to fight this war, and we may need another major infusion by the United States. Do you think that could happen, or will the war not last as that long?
No, David, thank you for having me on. This war is going to last for a while. It's going to cost a lot of money, just like the Ukraine war against Russia is going to cost a lot of money. And what people need to realize is that this war started on October 7th. I mean, Iran's been a regional bully. I mean, they've come after us for years and killed American servicemen in Beirut, at the Khobar Towers, at the Marine barracks in Beirut, at our embassy in Lebanon, and many hundreds of soldiers in Iraq and Afghanistan. So the war's been going on for a long time, but it really got heated up in October 7th when Hamas, the proxy of Iran, attacked Israel. And it just like Putin attacked Ukraine, and Israel is now in the position that Ukraine is in of defending itself against a big neighbor, much bigger than itself, and they want to wipe Israel off the face of the earth. So it's going to be expensive, and at the end of the day, America will end up paying for a lot of it, and I think rightly so. But yeah, it's not going to be cheap.
Robert, we know what Iran's objective is. They want to take Israel off the face of the earth. They literally want to blow it into oblivion. What is our objective, though? Because it seemed to be, we just want to make sure that Iran doesn't get a nuclear weapon. Then we had that message, unconditional surrender by Donald Trump earlier in the week. So what would you say our major objective is right now?
Well, so I think we've got two objectives, David, and it's a great question. I think the first objective is to keep American troops and soldiers and sailors, airmen, and Marines off the ground in Iran. We don't want to be involved in another forever war in the Middle East. And right. President Trump has made that very clear. But at the same time, he's running an American first foreign policy. And this is a country, Iran is a country that's chanced death to America. They've threatened President Trump. They've threatened to kill him and his family. They put out very slick animated videos of killing him on a golf course, which almost happened. Not that we know that the assassin was Iranian, but the Iranians have gamed that out. And so he wants to put America first and make sure that a country that's willing to do that, that's willing to kill American soldiers and willing to kill the American president, doesn't get a nuclear bomb, because that would be a disaster.
But it does seem to be, Robert, a little bit more than just preventing them from getting a new. If you're saying I want unconditional surrender, that's close to saying I want a regime change, isn't it?
Well, it's not. I would never, try and interpret the president, because the president's very clear when he speaks. But my takeaway from the unconditional surrender was that it's an unconditional surrender of their nuclear program. I mean, that's what the president has wanted. He's wanted the nuclear program dead. And, he sent Witkoff over, his best friend, his special envoy, at the outset of this, and he gave the Iranians a heck of a deal. He said the regime can stay in place, a distasteful regime. He knew he'd take heat for that. We'll let you into the world economy. We'll let you sell your oil without sanctions. We'll make Iran rich. I mean, you'll be, he was willing to make Iran great again. The only thing he asks is that they give up the enrichment program, and they give up the weaponization program. He even said you can have civilian, nuclear plants. You just can't enrich the uranium and have a weapons program. And he gave them 60 days. The Iranians thought they were dealing with Barack Obama or Joe Biden, and they thought they could tap them along like they've done to us for many years. They didn't realize President Trump washed his hands of it, stood up from the table, and said, "We're done." Yeah. And Bibi Netanyahu went to town on him.
Yeah, well, and one thing there's been a lot of back and forth about is Iran's timeline to getting a nuke. President Trump adamant that they are very close. His intelligence community, perhaps not so much so. There was a question about that in an impromptu press conference that happened on his way up to New Jersey. Let me just play that and get your reaction. Roll tape.
What intelligence do you have that Iran is building a nuclear weapon? Your intelligence community has said they have no evidence that they are at this point.
Well, then my intelligence community is wrong. Who in the intelligence community said that?
Your director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard.
She's wrong.
Now, I want to read for you, Robert, Tulsi Gabbard's response to that. She just put out a response to this whole question on X. She said, the dishonest media intentionally is taking my testimony out of context and spreading fake news as a way to manufacture division. America has intel that Iran is at the point that it can produce a nuclear weapon within weeks to months. If they decide to finalize the assembly, President Trump has been clear that can't happen, and I agree. Is there distance between the DNI, his director of national intel, Tulsi Gabbard, and his own views about Iran and its readiness to produce nukes?
No, I don't think so, David. And look, when I was in office, the assessment was, roughly similar. Now, there are different issues, like how quickly could they miniaturize a bomb to get it on the warhead of a missile, right? That may take a longer time, but they can get a nuclear bomb in a very short order, days, weeks. And so I think when Tulsi was testifying, she was talking about miniaturizing it, putting it on a ballistic missile, having it ready to go as a weapon that could be used like our nuclear triad. That might take a little longer, but they're days, weeks away from getting a bomb. The president's been clear about that, and that's what the intelligence was when I was in office. So I don't think there's a lot of daylight there. I think that there is an effort, though, to manufacture a division
just
in the administration.
Just to put a real fine point on it, you don't think her job is in danger?
Look, I don't think so. I think she and the president get along just fine. But in these crisis situations, everyone's on edge, and the media likes to stoke division, and the legacy media, not Fox Business, but
right.
Legacy media does, and you've got to just roll with it.
Well, one group or a couple of groups that love to stir up division inside the United States is China and Russia. And both of them are saying, hey, we would be great peacemakers. What do you make of them coming out with remarks like that? And I can't decide whether it's a joke or just an insult to our intelligence.
Well, listen, Vladimir Putin's a smart guy. He's a thug. He's a malign actor, but he's very smart. He was a trained KGB officer, and he knows how to sow division. That's what he did as a KGB guy in his younger years. So he also wants to earn some goodwill in the negotiations. Because keep in mind, as President Trump is trying to solve this war, he's also trying to solve the Ukraine-Russia conflict. And so I think if Putin probably believes that if he can be helpful in the Iranian case, that might inure to his benefit with Ukraine.
Yes.
The Chinese, I mean, that's just a joke. The Chinese have persecuted their Uyghur minority, their Muslim minority, and China actually does better if there is regime change, because then they can buy the oil from Iran without worrying about sanctions and anything else.
And by the way, they are the largest single importer of Iranian oil. The Chinese are. They get about 1.6 million barrels a day. That's a huge amount. Yeah. So, I mean, they are so tied into this. I'm just wondering if somehow Donald Trump will make it a condition of some kind of trade deal between China and the U.S., them getting away from the Iranian oil. But we'll wait and see on that. Robert, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Good having you here. Have a good weekend.
Great to be with you, David.